As a Reformed Baptist, there aren't really any Reformed Baptist churches in Norway. There are a few down south, but in the city I'm in, there is basically none. So me and my family have ended up attending a Lutheran free church. So far, it's been going quite well. They have been very respectful of my stance on baptism. I have an open dialogue with the pastor, and we've gotten quite close. But the situation is not just that we're just attending. He has asked me to preach 3 times, and I've done that so far, and he's asking me to preach more during the next semester. And I'm also leading a Bible group for the young men in the church. He also started flirting with the idea that I would come alongside him in ministry as an elder in the future, maybe. But there's this issue of baptism. Of course, they hold to the Augsburg Confession, and they also have a Presbyterian that's above their church. So they have to kind of stick within the lines of what they're allowed to do. And so it's a strange situation where I've been a Reformed Baptist, not officially a member of the church, but I've been allowed to preach there, and we take part in the church. It's become our family.
Yeah.
But
Well, it seems
I'm
to me from
not
what you
sure what to
describe,
do.
it seems to me, Adrian, what you're describing to me is that you're in uh, in a place where, well, let's put it this way. When I was there, the believers that I was speaking at, the conference I was speaking at, it was pretty clear that the state church um, was very non-evangelical, really
Yeah.
apostate and unbelieving, basically. So it sounds
Yes,
like
yes.
you're dealing with a free Lutheran church, probably not
Yes.
overly big. Um,
No, quite small. This
y-
one's separated from the larger Free Church in the city. So this is the conservatives of the Free Church in my
yeah,
city.
yeah. So it sounds like you're talking about a small group of believers in a small
Mm.
town, and they recognize that you're serious and you're committed, and hence, you know, sometimes that makes strange bedfellows, but that's the situation the Lord puts you in, and in that
Mm.
situation, you always try to be transparent. You always try to be honest, have open lines of communication. It could blow up rather easily if someone decided to try to take advantage of the situation and push their own perspectives and things like that.
Yeah.
But as long as you all are uh, on the same page, you're focused on issues of the gospel, you're living in a
Mm.
very, very, very secular society. I've seen folks survive that up until the point where someone puts the foot down and says, "No, we've all got to, do this the same thing, say the same things." Obviously, if you had
Mm.
lots of options there and lots of believing Christians, then you can push for a little more consistency. But it sounds to me like you all are sort of a desert oasis
Yes.
in the middle of nothing. And so, from my perspective, it would be a whole lot better to stay focused on the main things.
Mm.
And look, I've encountered a lot of different views on baptism from Lutherans, and I've encountered Lutheran monergists who
Yeah.
don't go some of the more formal routes, and so you know I can certainly see that working. You need to have fellowship. There needs to be service to other Christians, being served by other Christians. It's an important thing to do, and so you know, uh, up until the point where you feel like you're being pressured to compromise something that's really important, become a Fritz
Mm.
Erba, if you know who Fritz Erba was.
Yes, I
Yeah,
have. I've heard your stories.
yeah, yeah. It doesn't sound like they're going to be chucking you into the
No,
into the prison house there. So,
no.
hey, I would say be thankful for the fellowship, be thankful for the ministry of the word, contribute as you can. I think there probably needs to be a regular commitment on everybody's part to provide that space that would allow you to continue to do that. It's really easy to like become complacent of, oh, we've been doing this a long time, we don't have to worry about that much anymore, and then all of a sudden it pops up and smacks everybody in the face. So it needs to be something that's kept in everybody's minds, that we're cooperating together despite our differences. But yeah, be a lighthouse in that place, and in the darkness of the secular Scandinavian countries, be a light for the gospel. Scandinavia is a great example of what happens when you end up with a state church that no longer seeks the actual conversion of the people that are in it. And the result is, as you know, it's very hard to do evangelism in a place that has a state church, because everybody feels like they're already right with God to begin with. And even though they're walking far, far away from his ways.
Yeah. One of the elders, they told me they would rather have fellowship with a Reformed Baptist that's conservative and believing than a liberal Lutheran.
Oh yeah.
So
we have a lot more. We have a lot more in common. I mean, I've said over and over again that the OPC and Reformed Baptists are the closest two denominations that I know of. And I'm not sure if they're monergists or not. That's sort of an important issue, but you certainly can be if you read Bondage of the Will. You're gonna come out on the right side of things there. But yeah, I can certainly see that happening, and I can certainly see you all investing yourselves in that fellowship and proclaiming Christ in that place together, despite what differences you might have.
Yeah. About the topic of monergism, one thing I haven't been able to wrap my head around is the Lutheran view of predestination, the single predestination.
Yeah.
To me, it sounds like the natural, the logical consequence is double, even if you say it's only single.
Yeah, well, and real quickly, because we got other callers we need to get to.
Yeah,
but
sorry.
My viewpoint there, and of course Lutherans disagree with me, and they have the perfect right to do that. But I see two Luthers historically. I see the up to 1525 Luther and the post 1525 Luther, and it seems to me that if the pre 1525 Luther had continued on the course he was on, that you'd have a much clearer Lutheran definition of predestination and election. And he didn't stay on that. And then I think Melanchthon took the movement another direction after his death. So, you can make some pretty strong arguments from the pre-1525 material, but there's only so much. I mean, you've got the Bondage of the Will, some sermons, stuff like that, but it's limited. And, you can make the argument, well, consistent. If he had been consistent, then this is what it would have led to. But, that's how it goes. And so, yeah, as long as they know what your confession of faith says and where you're coming from, I would hope the Lord would bless your joint ministry there in Norway. And we need faithful men in difficult times, and so I pray that you and your family be blessed.
All right. Thank you, Dr. White.
Okay, thank you, Adrian. Nice to see you. Nice to talk with you.